We have an absolute comedy coming up this weekend, or at least that's what I'm going to bill it as, and I don't think my two cohorts here will disagree with me. We've got Ethan Smith from Locked On Pirates, and of course, your co-host Stephen Offenbaker joins me, Jeff Carr, today on this crossover edition of Locked On Reds and Locked On Pirates. Thanks for making Locked On Reds and Locked On Pirates your first listen of the day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On today's podcast, we are going to talk about this series that, let's face it, gentlemen, when we look at the Reds and the Pirates this year, we kind of thought that they might be battling for the bottom right now. One team is clearly at the bottom, and spoiler alert, it's not the Pittsburgh Pirates. So we're going to preview this series, and we're going to talk about some young guys who we're just going to talk about O'Neal Cruz. We're going to talk about Alejo Lopez. We're going to talk about Graham Ashcraft, some guys that I think deserve a little bit more run. And I know that Ethan's got a take on O'Neal Cruz. We've got to get to that. But first, we will start with this series. The Reds are coming in historically bad. In fact, I keep calling this series the summer's number one hit comedy. We were talking about this yesterday on the podcast, me and Steve. But Ethan, the Reds are almost like the Plan 9 from outer space baseball team. They've become so bad that people are interested in them.
Yeah, and I mean, sometimes with that kind of thing, sometimes they always say chaos is interesting. You can't look away from it. It's like a car crash. It really is. And I mean, again, I have not watched one Reds game this year, oddly enough. These will be the first games I watch, but I've seen enough and heard enough to think that a 3-22 record is pretty bad. And of course, as I told you the other day, Jeff, I was really hoping you guys were going to win one game and lose one game, so you'd have a 4-20 record just so you guys could laugh about something. But again, you never know. I mean, as we've mentioned before, me and Jeff have had plenty of crossovers before where we always say, whenever these two teams play, for whatever reason, throw the record out the window. It never matters. It never does. And that's where I think the Reds eventually are going to win like 6 games in a row. I just hope it's not this weekend, but I could see them going on a torrid run of wins at some point randomly, because it's hard to be this bad. And I think the last team I remember that did this bad was the Detroit Tigers, who started 3-25, but I forget what year that was, but I know that happened at one point. And our former host of Locked On Tigers tweeted that out about Chris Castellani, who's now at Barstool Sports, said, yeah, that's probably the worst record to start a season, and the Reds might just beat it.
Yeah, we are trending that way. And it's funny that you say that you think the Reds are going to win this series, Ethan, because I know Steve does not feel the same.
No, not even close. I have tried to come up. Listen, first off, I am really pissed off that this Reds team has robbed me of my ability to even make fun of the Pittsburgh Pirates. I have been looking forward to this crossover because I had material ready to go, and it's just all out the window. But listen, I've looked at it. With as much talent as the Reds have on the roster right now.
It's quotes.
Air quotes for the audio feed. The bottom line is this. I only am confident about the Nick Lodolo start. I think that's the only one they win. Out of the 4 games, I think we go 1-3 in this series with the Pirates. Nick Lodolo gets a win. Everybody else gets smacked around, and, away we go.
Yeah, it's nice that I have tickets to that game because I'm looking forward to watching Nick Lodolo pitch.
You have your Jeff Hoffman jersey?
No, not yet. That's on. I think it's on back order right now. I'll have to talk to the store because the last time I heard from them, it wasn't pleasant. Anyway, Friday night tonight is the Connor Overton revenge story, and then Sunday we are going to get some form of Tyler Mahle. I can't tell you what that's going to be because here recently it's not been very good. And then TBD is pitching Saturday night in the doubleheader. At least last I saw. It's crazy that they're playing. I understand why. Because of the owner's lockout, everything got pushed back. And okay, we'll play 4 games in 3 days, but you're talking about 2 teams that. The Reds have struggled mightily to put together a pitching staff, but I know that the Pirates have also kind of seen a little bit of success from some guys and a lot of rough starts from other guys, including tonight's starter, JT Brubaker.
Yeah, our starting pitching has been abysmal, I'll be honest, which is why you saw what you saw on Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday night in the second part of our doubleheader where Dylan Peters was an opener. And Dylan Peters, by the way, has yet to allow a run this year, and I believe now 17 innings pitched. So he's been very phenomenal. David Bednar has also been great out of the bullpen. Chris Stratton has had his moments. Will Crow has had his moments. It's just really the starting pitching is just that bad to where a lot of times the offense, it almost feels like if they don't score 3 runs in the first 2 innings, they're screwed. I mean, and that's what I'm scared of any series that I go into, even against this Reds team, where the starting pitching could just blow up and the Pirates are out of the game before it even starts.
Well,
the Reds have been playing a great game of hold my beer whenever they've been challenged, not being bad. So it's,
they've scored 5 runs in the top of the first inning the last 2 games against the Brewers, and they have blown that lead the opposite side of the first inning. Like they didn't even hold yesterday. They went up 3-0 in the top of the first, and before Hunter Green could get 2 outs, it was a tie game. I was like, you have absolutely got to. I'm trying to look right now on our favorite website, Bet Online, to see what the over-unders are, because I think we should probably tip people off. Smash the over. I don't know what it is, but smash the over. There's not going to be a lot of pitching in this series.
No, not even close. I was going to say, I am fully expecting one of these games randomly to be like 12-10. Like I really am. I don't know which one it'll be. It probably won't be the Lodolo start, I would assume. Because, again, with the Reds and the Pirates, man, you just never know. I mean, look at what happened last year. I mean, the Pirates were just noticeably worse than the Reds were, and the Reds outscored us 96-27 the entire year. So I had to sit through that. So we'll see if the Pirates have a better answer this year for the Reds than last year. But these are the kind of games right now, though, where the Pirates are sitting right now at 10-14. These are the kind of games and the kind of series where you have to look at it and say, yeah, we're not going to make the playoffs, but at least be competitive and beat the teams you're supposed to beat, right?
Right. And it's funny because that's about the same narrative that the Reds had with the Pirates, Steve.
It's exactly right. That's pretty much the same narrative. Maybe we're looking at this wrong too, because we've been watching so much bad baseball. I mean, Ethan, you've been watching bad baseball. We've been watching bad baseball. Maybe when you put these 2 bad baseball teams together, it'll actually look like some semblance of an actual decent baseball game because the talent levels are pretty evenly matched. So, maybe we're wrong about this. Maybe they go into this game and at least we're entertained for a hot minute.
I can agree. I mean, it'll be an entertaining series, no doubt. It's 4 games in 3 days. Can't ever have enough baseball, right?
Never enough baseball. And I tell you, I just looked it up. Tonight's over-under is 8.5. I just smashed the over. I threw a lot on that. I don't think it's going to be 5-4. I think it's going to be like 8-7 or 9-6 or something like that. I don't think we're scoring less than 8.5. We're not scoring less than 9 runs. That is for sure. But of course, we'll talk a little bit more about Bet Online later on. We'll talk some more about these pitching matchups that are coming on. We kind of teased it a little bit with a few of them. I want to break down a little bit what we're going to see on Saturday when it comes to Nick Lodolo, and I believe it's Mitch Keller, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, we'll break that down here coming up in just a moment. But I know, Steve, when it comes to getting through a long game and getting through this series that is going to be 4 games in 3 days, we need a lot of snacks. And there is one snack that is going to not break your diet.
Oh, that is absolutely true. Listen, summertime is upon us, and with summer coming, you are definitely going to need some food that you can eat on the go. And Built Bars are the perfect snack to take with you on your family vacations and on your way to the ballpark. Throw them in a bag, put them in the kids' backpack, stuff them in your pockets. You have a ready-made snack to go. Make sure that everyone has a Built Bar and is fueled for your summer adventures. The best part about Built Bars is they are healthy and delicious. There's no more sacrificing delicious foods for your health. With Built Bar, you can have both, and it's easy. All you have to do is go to Built.com and order right now. All Built Bars and Puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. That means that with Built Bar, you can eat healthy and actually enjoy doing it. Have you tried the Puffs yet? You might have had a hard time getting them because Jeff buys them all, but you're going to go crazy for them when you have them. They are chocolate covered marshmallows, jam-packed with protein. They've got great flavors like banana cream pie. They even have a churro flavor. Who doesn't want a protein bar that tastes like a churro? And they're only 140 calories. You can sign me up for that. If that's not enough flavor for you, then you might want to try one of the mix boxes, mix it up, try everything, see which ones you like the best. Built Bar makes sure that there is something for everyone. So go to built.com right now to get all of your favorites: banana cream pie, raspberry, double chocolate, and my personal go-to cherries barcia, and many, many, many more. They are all delicious, and there's new flavors coming out all the time. So check them out at built.com. The offer for you is use the promo code LOCKED15 when you're placing your order at built.com, and you are going to get 15% off your next order. That means you can try out even more flavors for less cost. Built.com, promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your next order at Built Bar.
And this weekend is Mother's Day. Have you found your Mother's Day gift just yet, gentlemen? Well, I know where you can go. It's BlueNile.com. Whether she prefers a statement piece or everyday subtle elegance, BlueNile.com has fine jewelry options for every mom. Shop high-quality classic diamond earrings, elegant tennis bracelets, or gemstone pendant necklaces. Looking for fine jewelry but having trouble choosing, like most of the three of us here? Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7, available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. Mark Mother's Day with something enduring. Classic diamond stud earrings, elegant tennis bracelets, birthstone pendants, and so much more are on BlueNile.com. This Mother's Day, give mom something she'll treasure forever with fine jewelry from BlueNile.com. And Locked On Reds and Locked On Pirates listeners today can get $50 off $500. This podcast exclusive is only good through this Sunday. Use promo code Locked On. That's promo code Locked On. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that's not going to give away the gift that you're getting your mom. Go to BlueNile.com today and use that promo code Locked On. All right, there's some interesting pitching matchups that are going to be had in this series, and there's a lot of fun players to watch when you're talking about young guys that are up and coming, that are trying to figure things out here in the major leagues. That's not to say that they've had their struggles. Most of these guys have struggled mightily so far this season, but the future is bright for both of these teams. And I know that Locked On Reds listeners are probably getting tired of hearing us say that, but I'm sure Locked On Pirates listeners know the same thing. The future is very bright. For both
very bright. Oh yeah. And I mean, it's going to be fun. We're just waiting. At the end of the day, it sucks that I have to say it that way, but we're just waiting to see whenever these guys come up, whenever they're ready. And that's just how baseball works, especially when you're a team like the Pirates who are still, for me, this is stage 2 of the rebuild. Last year was stage 1. We got the really bad year out of the way. Now they're in stage 2. And you're going to see some names come up. Roansy Contreras, we already saw him a little bit this year. He'll probably be back up again at some point. O'Neal Cruz will be up at some point, Pirates fans. I promise. You can stop asking me. He will be up at some point. Mason Martin is even a guy that you could potentially see at some point as well. But a lot of it right now, oddly enough, is the play of some of these guys is just hard to take out of the lineup. Like Daniel Vogelbach has been awesome. He's been a leadoff hitter for us actually a good portion of the season, so it's hard to take him out of the lineup as well. So you can't really justify pulling up O'Neal Cruz as hitting in the low 240s right now in AAA for a guy like Kevin Newman, who has been a Gold Glove finalist multiple times in his career.
That is interesting to know because there's been some players on this Reds lineup, Steve, that we have kind of shook our heads at, and there's a few guys in AAA that we'll get to here in a few minutes that I think could fill in nicely. But when you look, you kind of mentioned this, the start that you have kind of earmarked this weekend is Nick Lodolo, and he is one of the biggest reasons that the Reds' future is so bright.
Oh, he is. And you know, we've talked about, Jeff and I anyway, have talked about it on the Locked On Reds feed several times. Every start that Nick Lodolo has made has been better than the previous start. Now he had a little lower back strain, maybe. that has led to him skipping lower innings strain. That's correct. That had made him miss a turn or two. But the fact of the matter is he was getting better every time out. And that's what you want to see in a young pitcher. The thing that I'm excited about most, I mean, we're talking about this being a comedy show and we're kicking it around. And we're doing a lot of this tongue in cheek, but there is a time coming in the not too distant future where these two teams are both going to be very good at the same time with the young talent that's coming up. And we're going to start to see flashes of that, this season and next with the Reds, and same is true for the Pirates. But there's going to come a time where these conversations are very different, and it will be a lot of smack talking back and forth because there's going to be a lot of talent. So what am I going to be watching for right now? I'm going to be watching for whatever youngsters get an opportunity to show us what they got, to see what they show us. Nick Lodolo being one, Alejo Lopez being another one. These guys are getting a chance right now to cement themselves as being part of that 2023, 2024 narrative, and they can get in early on it.
Yeah, because we're going to get to see some matchups like Nick Lodolo versus Ke'Bryan Hayes, which is going to be a matchup that we will see for years to come because Ke'Bryan Hayes is sticking around Pittsburgh for a while, Ethan. I know that we talked a little bit about that on an earlier crossover this season, but I know that sort of surprised you a little bit, being that it is the largest contract in Pirates history.
Yeah, well, whenever you say largest contract in Pirates history, it was 8 years, $70 million. Let's not get ourselves carried away too much. But it is also, the thing I think that surprised me even more was the fact that the contract was front-loaded. So he's getting paid more now. So when this team is actually good, they're saving a couple $1 million away from him. Of course, there's incentives and everything now with the player-based incentives that came from the new CBA. But again, and then Brian Reynolds as well signed his extension shortly after that to avoid arbitration. So it just kind of seems like the Pirates are finally saying, okay, we have a generational defensive talent at third base. Let's actually lock him up for once instead of just trading him away, which Jeff Snyder, in a call we had the other day, said that he had a Dodgers fan tell him that's going to be a very nice team-friendly contract for the Dodgers in a couple years. And I said, there is no chance that Ke'Bryan Hayes is gone.
What it must be like no to offense, be a fan of a team that's just going to go after people. Good.
Well, yeah, but also to, Ke'Bryan Hayes to me is amazing. I think he's arguably the best defensive third baseman in baseball, but for the Dodgers, they could just go sign like Nolan Arenado at his peak or his waning hour and just call it a day. I mean, that's just how the Dodgers work whenever Arenado runs out of his contract in St. Louis.
Ke'Bryan Hayes being the best defensive third baseman in baseball is a very interesting bet. Ethan, I think you know a good place for us to go when you're talking about some interesting bets.
Yes, don't do what I did last night and bet on Louis Domingue to win Game 2 for the Pittsburgh Penguins. But if you go to BetOnline, of course, betonline.net is your one-stop shop for all sports betting. As you heard Jeff earlier allude, he bet the over 8.5 on the Cincinnati Reds and Pittsburgh Pirates game tonight. If you agree with him, go shoot it over there at BetOnline. Of course, it is your number one source for all your betting stats and sports info. And, of course, find all the latest sports developments, league reviews, and news, including the NBA playoffs, Major League Baseball, the NHL playoffs, and this weekend's Run to the Roses as the Kentucky Derby is back, which I believe there is actually a hockey named horse this year, so I will probably be going after that one. I believe it's Messier, if I'm not mistaken, but I forget.
Nice.
They all have weird names, but if you want to bet solely on their name on who's going to win, go do that. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action, and BetOnline is where the game starts. And of course, as you guys always know, make us your first listen here at Locked On Reds and Locked On Pirates. And I actually don't have Locked On MLB prospects today, but shoot, we have plenty of prospects. So Lindsey Crosby, go check him out over there. I thought we had that today to where I was going to talk about him, but
well, it's Locked On MLB prospects because, Lindsey knows what he's talking about with the prospects. But also, there's a great way to get all of your MLB game recaps and info. It's Locked On Now. You check it out. You get everyone talking about their games, and you can see just some of the best reactions on the internet to the Phillies and Mets debacle from last night from our Ryan Finkelstein and Connor Thomas. Those were some peak nows. You got to check out Locked On Now right now and get all of the info you need on the league in 30 minutes or less. And before we jump into talking about some O'Neal Cruz and some Graham Ashcraft and stuff like that, Steve, I saw you shaking your head. You don't think it's going to be over 8.5?
Well, I do until you said you did. And my best betting strategy has been to just ask you what you're going to do and go the other way. And so, now I'm conflicted.
That's fair. If you've seen my betting ledger here recently, that's probably a good idea. But I'm feeling the over 8.5. Ethan, we got to talk about O'Neal Cruz because I'm not going to lie. In fantasy baseball this year, I took a late round flyer on him because I thought he'd be up decently fast. I've had some injuries and I had to move on from him, which nobody cares about. But O'Neal Cruz has been a little bit tumultuous, I think, down in AAA there.
Yes. So he's struggled at the plate a little bit, but he's picked it up since. But the biggest thing was, of course, on May the 4th. May the 4th be with everybody, of course. Jason Mackey of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, and I'm just going to quote his tweet just for no confusion, chatted with O'Neal Cruz post-game. He spoke Spanish because obviously he's Spanish, with Miguel Yajure translating, exception with one sentence. I asked if the transition to the outfield was getting any easier, and Cruz in English said a little, I don't want to move to the outfield. So that's very interesting to say the least, because he's struggling at the plate while also playing a position he doesn't want to play. So does that have anything to do with the latter?
That's poignant.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to make sure there was nothing lost in translation. He's saying, I don't want to be in the outfield. Period. Plain simple. Don't put me out there.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because, again, he's struggling at the plate and he's playing a position that he doesn't really want to play. So do the two correlate? Possibly. But I also see him as a future DH for the most part. But if he comes up right now, how do you take Daniel Vogelbach out of the lineup who's hitting .295 and leading the team in home runs right now? It's kind of hard. I mean, you can't. You have to look at all sides of the coin here when we're talking O'Neal Cruz.
I love big Daniel Vogelbach. I'm looking forward to watching him in this series because I'm a sucker for a big dude. When you're talking about O'Neal Cruz, though, and the idea that he's playing something that he doesn't want to be playing, that just brings back flashbacks, and we're talking about flashbacks from like 3 years ago, of mismanaging of top prospects, Steve. I think the Reds know something about that.
They do.
Yeah. Nick Senzel. I don't know that we'll ever get what we thought we were going to get out of Nick Senzel, and I don't think that's necessarily his own fault either. When we're talking about some interesting prospects for the Reds, though, Graham Ashcraft has been a name on everyone's mind for the last 2 years, Steve, and I think that we are wondering, with the futility that we've seen from the starting rotation, when are we going to see him? And I know that they keep telling us different things, but I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm like, I don't know that he could be any worse than what we've got up here right now.
No, I was glad they didn't call him up in that Colorado series when we needed a starter, because I didn't want them to bring him up and to do it in Colorado. And we all know how wonky pitching is in Denver. So I was glad they didn't call him up. However, if they were to call him up to pitch that TBA game in the doubleheader, I would be all right with that. According to Fangraphs, he last pitched on May 1st. So he's actually due to go today as this airs. So if he does not pitch today, if he's not on the mound in the minor leagues, he would be available to be a starter in that TBA game. And I would be all right with that. I think that there shouldn't be any clock considerations with him. Just go ahead and get him pitching. Get him up here against this Pirates team where he could have some success. Now, I'm not saying he's going to come out and beat him. As I've said, as it stands right now, I think only Lodolo is going to get a win in this series. But if they were to bring him up right now, stranger things have happened. He could come up, get a start against the Pirates, build some confidence, maybe get a major league win, and then they can send him back down to work on a few more things and figure out what it is they want to do. But I would be all for that. I would like to see how he looks against this Pirates lineup.
I agree too, and I think that this is something that it's intriguing to me that the probable starter for that game, for both teams actually, still remains TBD. I checked on it just a moment ago, so it could be Graham Ashcraft. I know they just added a dude through waivers and Robert Duggar. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's the guy they end up going with. That would not interest me in the slightest, but yeah, Graham Ashcraft is a dude that we saw a little bit in spring training, and it's strange because he pitches wholly out of the stretch. He has no windup whatsoever, and to a lot of people, he has a very all or nothing delivery. It's a la Ryan Hendricks, and I think that there are some people that don't like watching that because they think that he is just overthrowing every pitch and he has no command whatsoever. I think he's got plenty of command. It's a much different style than we're used to seeing. I would love to see him up Saturday night, but I think we kind of alluded to it at the outset of today's episode. Let's get some predictions. Ethan, starting with you, what do you think happens in this series?
I think I'm kind of on the train with Steven over here. I think we win 3 of 4 and lose the Lodolo start. That's what I predicted at the beginning of the week on my show. I said we would split the series in Detroit and then win 3 of 4 here in Cincinnati, just because I just don't have a full confidence that this team can sweep. I just really don't. But stranger things have happened. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, look at last night in the Mets-Phillies game, and you will see that anything and everything in the game of baseball can happen. But my final prediction is 3 out of 4 for the Pirates.
For me, I think, that's kind of where I was. I think they win that Lodolo start. Now, if they do call up Graham Ashcraft, I think they sweep the doubleheader and they split the series. If they don't, if they go with waiver wire pitcher A, B, C, D, E, or F, I think we go 1-3 and, the futility continues.
I am intrigued because with that open pitching slot, I really do want to see what they do with that. Also, there is the outside shot that maybe, Tyler Naquin, Nick Senzel, and Joey Votto can come off the COVID IL, and then the Reds actually have their regular lineup. And we're not talking about, Matt Reynolds playing right field. That makes me think they might split. I think they've got to be getting to a point where they're really tired. Like yesterday, there was that stupid play where it was a pop foul that both Mike Moustakas and Tyler Stevenson, not two replacement dudes, but two regular Reds players, were converging on a pop fly in foul territory. Neither one called each other off. They both thought they called each other off, and they let it fall to the turf. I'm like, we've got to be getting to a point here in this futility where they say enough is enough, and they just go like off or something, but I haven't seen it yet. Does it happen this weekend? Maybe. That Sunday game that we didn't really talk about a whole lot, Zach Thompson versus Tyler Mahle, you have one pitcher who has made multiple starts in Zach Thompson who has an ERA over 10, and you have one pitcher who's made multiple starts in Tyler Mahle who has an ERA over 7. That game might be like 15-14, but I don't know. I got a feeling. I got a feeling that they split. And I think we're talking on Monday when Luis Castillo returns against the Brewers about a Red side that has not necessarily calmed the flames of futility, but have at least stopped national talking heads from being interested in them for being so very, very bad.
How have we reached a state where hoping for a series split is freaking momentum? When did this happen?
Welcome to the world of being a Pirates fan.
Oh my God, Jeff.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. Steve, I'm trying to be optimistic, man. Give me a minute. And I think on that optimistic note, we're going to end. Thank you all so much for listening and watching today's Locked On Reds and Locked On Pirates crossover. You can follow me at Jeff Gar with 3 Fs. You can follow Steve at S. Offenbaker with 2 S. And I don't think that Ethan Smith has any Fs in his Twitter handle. But what's your Twitter handle for everybody?
MVP_Ethan. It's easy to find.
No Fs in that. Yes, confirmed. Make sure that you also follow the Locked On Pirates podcast to get Ethan's reaction to the series, as well as us, because I'm sure there's going to be some moments where we just have to stare into the camera and go, baseball.
You know what BetOnline should have? Over/under errors in this series, 5.5.
Oh, smash. Smash the over. But thank you all so much, and we will talk to all of you on Monday.